one man killed in the spring and over 30 accidents in the last few years, he's hoping to see a change in either the road or the speed limit.
There's no shopping center, no Starbucks, not even a traffic light. Another thing you won't find here.
Imagine a town in America with no school, no store, not even a single streetlight. Just 12 to 19 elderly residents, living in a place that feels more like a post-apocalyptic ghost town than a functioning community. And yet, this is the official county seat. This is Mentone, Texas, the most remote, most bizarre little town you've never heard of.
Flush serving breakfast and lunch at Chuck's Wagon says.
Why do people still live here? And how does this forgotten town refuse to die? In this video, we'll explore the harsh realities, the untold stories, and the strange charm of America's smallest, loneliest town. Mentone sits in far west Texas, about 75 miles from Odessa and 35 miles from Pecos, the nearest sizable cities reachable only after hours of driving. Located along State Highway 302, the town is tucked away in the dry, sprawling landscape of Loving County. On a map, Mentone looks like nothing more than a speck, but as the county seat, it still plays an official role. Getting to Mentone, however, is no easy task. The town covers just 215 hectares and is only accessible via a quiet 2-lane road. The pavement is thin, road signs are rare, and there are no streetlights or gas stations along the way. Traffic is virtually non-existent. A few supply trucks pass through each month, and any visitor from out of town is met more with curiosity than hustle and bustle. The geography matches the harsh climate. Mentone lies in a hot desert zone with very low rainfall year-round. Daytime temperatures can be scorching, while nighttime brings dry and chilly air. The landscape is dominated by cacti, thorny shrubs, and the occasional desert wildlife. In a place like this, it often feels like nature speaks louder than people. The name Mentone might sound unfamiliar, but surprisingly, it comes from a city on the French Riviera. A French surveyor who once explored this barren stretch of Texas wanted to give it a touch of elegance. The result? A tiny town with a European name, and a landscape nothing like the Mediterranean. In the beginning, Mentone was home to just a few settlers living near water sources and cattle trails. Then came the oil boom of the 1930s and 1940s. Black gold erupted from the Texas soil, and suddenly, Mentone was booming. At its peak, more than 600 residents called it home. There were around 5 bars, 2 hotels, and even a weekly newspaper, the Mentone Monitor. For a brief moment, it seemed like the town was on the edge of real growth. Quiet streets filled with oil workers, and the buzz of machines never stopped. But like so many other boomtowns, Mentone couldn't weather the storm of change. By the 1950s, the oil wells dried up, and so did the crowds. By 1946, only 3 businesses remained, and since then, the number has steadily declined. After the 2010 census, Mentone even lost its claim as the smallest unincorporated county seat, surpassed by Gan Valley in South Dakota. Still, something about Mentone refuses to disappear. Maybe it's the people who remain, not just surviving, but choosing to live in the quiet. So, who are the few that still call this place home? The answer: just 19 people, according to World Population Review in 2025. Other sources list as few as 12 residents. All are white, non-Hispanic Americans. There are no immigrants, no new faces appearing out of nowhere. The community here is so small that every change, no matter how small, is noticed. What's even more fascinating is that the average age is 65, which means no school buses, no playground chatter, no kids riding bikes down the street. There may not be a single child under the age of 18. Life moves slowly here, in a rhythm that rarely changes, peaceful, quiet, and deeply rooted. Life in Mentone may seem slow and quiet, but beneath the surface lies a different story. As you might expect, most of the people who still live here do so thanks to the natural resources under their feet: oil and gas. The oil and gas industry has been the backbone of Mentone's economy for decades. With over 650 oil wells scattered across Loving County, revenue from this sector accounts for nearly all of the area's financial resources. In many ways, Mentone survives because of what's buried underground. And even though the town is small, the income generated from the energy industry is significant, enough to support most of the county's operations. Still, not everything here revolves around oil. A handful of small ranches dot the desert landscape. They raise limited livestock, enduring harsh droughts and long stretches of isolation. These ranches represent the more traditional side of Mentone's economy, one that survives beyond the oil fields. Interestingly, despite the town's tiny size, the median household income in Mentone was $206,250 in 2023. Yet the high income stands in sharp contrast to the lack of basic public services. There are no shops, no schools, and no hospitals. It's a town with wealth, but almost nothing to spend it on, beyond the most basic needs. Though Mentone may feel remote, some of its infrastructure issues have improved over time. Since 1988, the town's water supply has come from Pecos, about 23 miles away. Electricity, especially for powering the oil wells, is reliable. But telecommunications remain a challenge. Residents depend on satellite phones and an internet connection that is often slow and unstable. When it comes to public services, Mentone has just a post office, a gas station, and a single cafe. There's no hospital and no school. The last one closed its doors back in 1972. Emergency services rely on a volunteer fire department, while law enforcement visits only occasionally, with sheriffs making rounds now and then. The result is a place that feels worlds away from modern urban life, defined by silence, space, and stark simplicity. With limited public services and miles of distance from basic amenities, life in Mentone demands simplicity. But that's exactly where this community finds its strength, in the way everyday life becomes an act of resilience. Most residents spend their days working in the oil fields, checking pipelines, maintaining wells, or driving across the desert to remote drilling sites. Others tend to small ranches, raising livestock under the blazing sun and across dry, cracked landscapes. And when evening comes, the town's only cafe, Boot Track Cafe, becomes the unofficial living room. Here, laughter is shared, local news is exchanged, and a warm cup of coffee fills the void left by everything else the town doesn't have. A small church opens every Saturday, serving as a humble, multi-denominational place of worship. And once in a while, the town hosts a kind of celebration, a community dinner, maybe taco night, or a casual potluck. Nothing fancy, nothing loud, but just enough to remind everyone that even in the quietest corners of the country, people still seek connection. In the end, Mentone carries a silent truth, a kind of isolation that can't be ignored. No schools for children, no hospitals in case of emergencies. Even for basic groceries, residents have to drive dozens of miles to the nearest town. To live in Mentone is to depend on your vehicle, on outside deliveries, and on the strength of your community. And statistically, the town's future looks fragile. Projections show that by the end of 2025, the population may shrink to just 9 people. There are few places in America where you can count the residents on both hands. Mentone is slowly disappearing, not because of disaster, but because of time, and because the world outside is moving too fast. Still, hope lingers. As long as the oil fields remain active, Mentone has an economic lifeline. There are even wild yet fascinating ideas, like turning Mentone into an extreme tourism destination, a place for those seeking absolute silence or wanting to witness the most remote life on the American mainland. Some locals have started documenting its history, preserving stories that might otherwise vanish. Because even at the edge of the map, someone always wants to make sure the place isn't forgotten. Yes, Mentone may be small, quiet, and slowly fading, but it holds a powerful story of human endurance. So now we ask you, should towns like this be preserved or allowed to return to the desert?